What's going on, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Game Cast. I am one of your hosts, Kenny, and with me is Tess.
On the mend, Tess. Hello, everybody.
Yes, Tess is still on the mend, but you're feeling a little bit better this week than last week, right?
I don't really think so, to be fair. I mean, last week I was just depressed and crying, but this week
Oh,
I'm good. I just, the dizziness it's had me bedridden for like 2 days.
I
Um,
see.
yeah, so it's like I feel like my head is in a fishbowl. Like, babies when they're holding their heads up, but their heads are bobbing, like kind of wobbling around.
Yeah.
I am 100% sure that that's what I look like.
Well, that's very interesting.
And the thing is, I'm sure my head isn't moving, but it feels like it is.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like the was it the roller skate effect? Like if you've been roller skating all day and you take them off, it feels like you're still like sliding or gliding
Still
around.
skating a little bit, but just not as cool.
Not definitely not as cool. Well,
Yeah,
I was a bit under the weather last week as well.
right.
Um, I didn't have the baby syndrome thing going on, but I
No,
did feel just mentally wasn't there,
yeah,
and it was so that made it definitely difficult to record, and so we decided to take a week off. But we are back.
we're
We are
back.
back, and mostly okay, mostly okay.
Let's just
Uh,
be real. We're just here and going through the motions. That's what we do. And at least we're honest about it.
Facts, because life happens, things
Mm-hmm.
happen, and with COVID, that I mean, I don't have to explain this to you guys. Like it's been an interesting 2 years
Yeah.
of mess, and yeah, we are at the very least happy to be able to do something that's fun for us, and that a bunch of you enjoy. At least that's what you
Mm-hmm.
told me. I don't know. I hope you enjoy. But if you're still here, that means you enjoy it. So this episode, we have a couple things that we wanted to talk about. Some from last week and some from this week. One thing I wanted to talk about, kind of before we get into, I guess, the main part of the show, is the Wonder Years, the new Wonder Years show that is on
Mm-hmm.
Hulu, and it's also on TV. I forget. I think it's CBS. I think it's on, or ABC. Sorry, it's on ABC, and I think ABC. It's on one of those places. Uh, and it's a new Wonder Years show, but it's from a black perspective. And I was super afraid about this show, especially after. And granted, this is not a horror show. This is not a show that necessarily is going to be dabbling in a lot of black trauma or anything like that. But I was worried for several reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I did hear that Fred Savage would be help
Producing.
producing and or is executive producing along with a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of other people. I heard some of the I found out about the cast. Like for instance, Don Cheadle is narrator. He's the narrator for the show,
That's amazing.
and it actually it aired yesterday. So breaking the fourth wall. It aired September 22nd, and so you can actually check it out on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the pilot episode, so like the first episode, and so I checked it out. I watched it actually right before the cast. I went ahead and gave it a gander, and I am pleased, surprisingly so. And I say that
Yeah.
not because of who's involved, but because these things tend to go left, and it doesn't mean it can't. There was a couple of lines in there where I was like, but that's just my opinion. I can't speak for all black people, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely it feels like a black show. It feels like a black show. There is a little bit of a white view, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, and black people kind of know what that means. But if you don't know what that means, there is a bit of a there's some parts where they kind of emphasize that gaze, where to kind of keep things balanced, I guess, for the audience. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily think we need that. I think it's appropriate when you don't want to paint someone as, as like a racist character,
Mm-hmm.
because with black people who are already kind of on edge about the show to begin with, as soon as they see something that's a little bit, you know, I guess, I don't know if you can be a little bit racist, but, a little bit in that line, you're kind of like, oh, that's a racist character, F that character, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
so they do a job of saying, like, hey, this person, isn't necessarily prejudiced. It's just whatever, the mark of the times. I think this is back in the like 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of this stuff that is in the original show is kind of in this one with I'm sorry, it's in 1960s. A lot of the stuff that's in the original show is kind of in this one, in where you have a family dynamic. You have the son, the youngest son, is, I think he's like 12, is the person who's his older self is narrating, just like Fred Savage's character. He
Uh-huh.
has a older sister instead of an older brother,
Mm-hmm.
and an assortment of friends. But he's a little bit, I don't want to say nerdy, but he wears glasses and people pick on him. He gets bullied, things of that nature. So he's kind of, in Fred Savage's case, or his character, like he had a friend who was kind of more nerdy, and it's the opposite here. But for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, outside of those similarities, it's very much a black show.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Dule Hill is playing his father, Bill Williams, and if you don't know who that is, he's from the show Psych. He's the black star on that show. We also have, like I said, Don Cheadle is doing the narration. We have
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Williams as the son, who is really good, by the way. I typically don't. I mean, there are some good kid actors, but I typically don't like a lot of them because
Oh.
it's a lot of cringe. I'm sorry, but he does a really good job. Dule does a good job, but he's always good. We have Laura. I don't want to say her last name because I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but she plays
Okay. Her name's
Kim
Laura.
Williams. Yeah, her name's Laura. I think it's Kariki. It's
It looks like
Kar.
karaoke.
There you go. She does a great job. There's parts in the show, and because I kind of want to kind of breeze through, because I want you to see it before we kind of like get into like an in-depth thing. But I kind of want
Mm.
to breeze through a couple things. There are parts that are like just black. Like there's a part where Dean, the son, asks a question, for his father and his mother, because they're arguing, and they both turn and go, "Stay out of grown folks' business." And this is like, I could just hear my parents saying that,
Yeah.
along with a lot of other things, and
Mm-hmm.
and the way they kind of make it, how it's like it's universal, or there's a scene where a character has to tell two black men, not to act out in front of white people, and
Mm.
how the show kind of explains how this is like a universal code that you don't do, and like to
Yeah.
this day, this is definitely something that you don't do.
Yeah. You
And
don't
so
want to get
things,
arrested.
right? There's things that we kind of like. You can kind of, it's welcoming in that way, I should say. But another thing that I was afraid of, outside of the idea that there would be a lot of black trauma, was them totally like erasing racism. I didn't want that either. I didn't want,
Yeah.
over, like basically selling our pain, and I didn't want them to kind of pretend like 1960 wasn't what it was. And
Right.
so they do that. Not They don't do that. They actually show racism, and they do a good job with it. And I'm not going to, spoil what happens, but there's some strong scenes in there that, especially towards the end, that I didn't think would be as impacting as it was, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the stuff we already know, and I think certain story beats just hit hard, especially nowadays. But I just didn't expect it to affect me as much as it did, especially considering some of the content that I've been kind of absorbing as of late. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
put a pin in that. If you haven't read my article about Fortnite and Martin Luther King Jr. on IGN, go check that out. Anywho, uh, back to the
Plug.
show.
Article
Plug,
plug.
plug. But back to the show. I didn't think it would hit as hard as it did, and it resonated with me. And so
Yeah.
I want to continue to watch the show. I think the first episode was good. I'm going to wait on giving a in-depth breakdown of the show until Tess has seen it. But it made me subscribe to Hulu, or at least do the trial.
Good. I'm
It
so
made
happy we've gotten that covered.
Yes, we finally, right? Finally on. It's just too many. It's too many streaming, platforms, and I not in the sense of cost. I mean, some of it is. It can be expensive. It can get up to the point of cable, but it's also the idea that I don't have time. You
Yeah.
know, like I subscribed back to HBO because of *Malignant*, the new James Wan horror film, and
Mhm.
because I didn't want to go to the movie theater. We'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
And I realized, like, after watching the movie, I don't think it's probably gonna lapse without me watching anything else on HBO Max because there's so much stuff. Like Netflix is overloading the servers with content. Not literally, but you get what I'm saying. There's so much stuff that I'm interested in. Not even stuff that's just kind of like in the air that I might be interested in. No, there's things that I'm like I've put in my queue and I have not watched yet because there's just
Mhm.
so much crap to watch. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so that also makes me hesitant to actually subscribe to anything because I won't have time to watch it. But I figured the Wonder Years show, it's a new show. I was a fan of the old show,
Mhm.
and it has an all black, for the most part, majority black cast. I'm like, I gotta watch it. Gotta
Yeah.
watch it.
We got to
So
support it. We don't want this to be one of the things where it's like, oh, by the way, we got 3 episodes canceled. No.
right, if it's good, if I'm just gonna throw that out there,
Yeah.
if it's good, if it's doing some other stuff, then that's okay. But for the most part, like I said, it's I think it's really good so far, and it's just a pilot, so I haven't seen the season. Like it's only they only have one episode available, and so it could definitely go left at any point. But as of right now, it's comical, and a lot of what's happening is applicable to that time as well as this time, and I think it'll resonate at the very least with Black people. So
Mhm.
I think you guys should check that out. But that's just my brief little something something about the Wonder Years on Hulu. Yeah, I thought it was cool. That was cool.
Good. I'm looking forward to watching that one. At some point. It's hard for me, guys. Like, I know I'm at, like, but it's hard to watch a lot of TV because I get sick. So, like, I can get nauseous by watching TV a lot, even though I have more than enough time.
Well, I
It's
think
okay.
and this is the one time where I think
Mhm.
commercials are good because commercials be like,
Yeah.
you know what? I can rest my eyes. I can turn away
Yes.
from the TV. If you
Yes.
have TiVo, you can pause that shit. Like
Yes.
it's dope. Like having that. So I get it. Having Hulu with commercials for that sort of thing,
Yeah.
solid. I did
Solid.
not do that though, because F commercials. But another thing we wanted to talk about was the Emmys that aired, I want to say on the 19th of this month. And thankfully, we did watch some of these shows,
Mhm.
collectively.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of winners, a bunch of different shows won. If we're looking at just the digital platforms, Netflix won the most. They won
Yeah.
44 Emmys. Some of them we feel a way about. We'll get to that. HBO and HBO Max won 19. Disney Plus won, let's see, 14. Apple T, which is good, being that these are good numbers, mind you, because a lot of what they're running up against are normal. Like for instance, NBC, they won 8 Emmys. Those the normal, I guess, television platforms on cable typically win the most. Over the past few years, like Netflix has jumped in there, having just
Mhm.
great shows. HBO has always been an Emmy winner, like just flat,
Yeah.
like Sopranos, The Wire, like Sex and the City, you name it, they've won
Yeah.
them. But the landscape is a little different because all those shows are now on HBO Max. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it's even though it's still TV, it's HBO, the television channel that they're airing on as well. Because we're in the streaming era, especially with COVID and everything, it kind of makes things look a little different. But they got HBO Max got 19, Disney Plus got 14, Apple TV got 10, VH1 got 6. Um, I can't see. I think those are the most. I know there's couples here and there that are,
Mhm.
from different networks, but those are the big ones. And yeah, it was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. I'm sorry. Those were nominations. Netflix took home the most wins with 10, but they were nominated for 44. That's what I
Okay.
meant to say. All right, because that's way too many. But no, they
I
they they won the
mean,
most though. And it's not even like, it's not shocking. Again, Netflix puts out the most content. It's
Yeah.
like one of these has to win something.
And they just stream it half the time. Half the time, it's not even their show. Half the time, it's just like,
Right.
it's here. We didn't do anything. We just let them put it on here. Like,
Right. They do that a lot. And granted, it's I will say the wins that we're seeing mostly is from, at the very least, Netflix produced.
yeah.
Like for instance, The Crown,
I mean,
which,
it,
yeah.
it took home most of them. I mean, it swept the acting categories. I'm still shook by that. Like, and we've talked about The Crown before because the last cast that we did when we spoke about the Emmy nominations, we talked about, you know, all of these nominations and The Crown getting them and stuff like that. And we spoke about the actors who were playing and we're like, you know, they're really good. But I'm just still like kind of taken aback that like every category in acting is basically won by The Crown. And I like
Right.
that show. And I think that the actors are great. I mean, like, a lot of times I haven't seen these shows, like, you know, the Oscars. I could say, okay, you know, I didn't see this movie, or I didn't see this movie, or I didn't see it until way later. Like, I didn't never get to see it in the year that it is.
Right.
But I've actually watched most of these shows that are in the major categories. Like, I've watched WandaVision, I watched Hamilton, I've watched The Crown, I've watched The Handmaid's Tale, I've watched Lovecraft Country, you know, and This Is Us. And Saturday Night Live. Like, I've watched all of these shows. I've not watched Ted Lasso. I hear it is hilarious. I've not gotten there, and I've not watched Hacks. Again, I heard that's hilarious too. I just, again, haven't gotten there. I can't do this that much. That's a lot of work. But I was really surprised to see that all of the major acting categories went to The Crown. And this is not to discount the acting. Again, I think it was phenomenal. But I'm like, I think it's a good show. I think it's a great show. And I'm just like, is it a great show or is it great acting? Or is it, you know what I mean? And again, I hate saying this out loud because this is going on the internet and people will hear me say this for the rest of my life. But I was just kind of like, wait, really? I just saw other actors in these categories and I was like, huh. Oh, okay. It's just this, and you know, we're all entitled to our opinions. You know, Sterling K. Brown can't win all of them.
Right.
He can't win every year, can he?
I oh, sorry, real quick.
No, I don't even know if he has one every year, but
real quick. So I was right in the beginning. What it is because they air or they give out awards before the airing, that Netflix did win 44, but the major wins were just 10 because they do the creative arts side. So like wardrobe and stuff like that. That is shown off air. And so Netflix did get 44. Just wanted to throw that out there. The numbers I had before were correct.
they were correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made sense. I was like, okay, well, I was like, just 10? Really? Just yeah.
Yeah, it's so because like the 10 will be like, you know, lead actor,
Yeah.
you know, basically the crown. And
Yeah, The Crown.
but then they got, you know, wardrobe and stuff like that from other, you know, the other shows and films and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a choice, right? It's because we don't know who, well, I mean, I know some people know, but we don't know who the judges are to
Yeah.
kind of come up with. And a lot of people were just kind of happy just to be nominated.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it feels good when you get a win. It also helps in terms of your contracts. Like when you go to,
Yeah.
you know, for instance, and granted, this is probably not going to change anything, but Lovecraft Country won some Emmys. And while the second season, there's not going to be a second season, HBO
Right.
canceled it. It does make, you know, the writers that were involved, the actors that were involved, it kind of makes it a bigger deal when they go to get their next role. It's like, hey, we were Emmy nominated, and even though I might not have won for best actor or whatever, we did have some wins. Like for instance, Courtney B. Vance won for being a guest actor. He was only on
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 episodes.
I mean, it was
But
only like 6 episodes long.
well, I mean, it was like 12ish,
Was it
but
12?
yeah, it was. I think it was around 12, but it was at the end of the day, it was like he did a great job for being a
He
guest
did.
actor,
He did.
and he won an award, and
He did.
that categorically is an award for Lovecraft Country. So that's something that they take. I mean, granted, he takes the award, but
Yeah.
the show itself, you can advertise or you can say that, hey, it won an award. You know what I'm saying? And so it allows for just upward momentum of your career. And
Yeah.
so you kind of want, what I mean, if you did, you worked hard and whatnot. Not to say that other people didn't, but you kind of want to win. And so I can understand how people were kind of like, you know, in terms of some of the picks being
Mhm.
like maybe the Crown, maybe that wasn't the best choice, or maybe it's already won for however many, prizes or whatnot, or not prizes but awards that something else could have went, could have went to someone else. There was also like the Queen's Gambit, which I haven't seen either. I heard was good.
It's amazing. It's really good.
I know it was a bit of a controversy not too long ago with them kind of disparaging an actual chess player, using her name and saying that she never won tournaments against men, and she has. And there was this, I think they're in a lawsuit right now. Netflix is in a lawsuit because of that.
Oh,
But that's outside of that, and when it first dropped and people were talking about it, that's the only thing that I've heard about it. But I've heard good things outside of that, so I'm not surprised that it won. But there are some really good shows it's up against. Like there's some really really good shows,
yeah.
and
I
so
I was actually in the guest actress in a drama series category. So I saw that Claire Foy won for The Crown. And she played Queen Elizabeth in the first 2 seasons, and mind you, she's amazing. And I already like Claire Foy with the other work that she's done. I think she's great. And I think I was so surprised because in this season of The Crown, she's only in there for, of course, guest actress. She's only in there for like 5 minutes in the couple of episodes she's in because they're
right,
flashbacks. But I just thought it was interesting that she won. Again, this is The Crown. Like I felt like this is like Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey just swept everything, and it's just like, okay, are there no better shows? It's like there's nothing good this year, but she won for The Crown, and I'm like, she beat out Alexis Bledel in The Handmaid's Tale. Okay, for you guys who don't remember who she is, did you watch Gilmore Girls? Her role in
right,
Handmaid's
right,
Tale is so like this season. First of all, I'm just going to be honest, I did not like this season of The Handmaid's Tale. It just felt like a long music video again to me. I was like, I'm just like, why hasn't the show ended? We are just pulling content, pulling. Like they're just like, oh, it hits a lot of Emmys, so we're just going to make this thing run for as long as we can. This makes no sense. These people should have gotten out of Babylon or wherever the heck they live, and they should have made it to the promised land already. I'm done. I'm tired. Like it's just dragging on. This is my opinion, and I really think that the season should have ended last year. I mean, the series should have ended already. But her role this season, and just have to express that the role she plays is so amazing, and the emotions that she goes through, going from, being this person who's coming to terms with trying to start her life over again after being abused and raped and all of these horrid things that have happened to her, and trying to pick up her life, but then still having this nagging pain and reminder of the world that she was trapped in. And she's posed with the question of, if you had the ability to let out your anger on someone who didn't pay the price for what they've done to you, would you do it? And I'm saying, to watch this character go from her emotions, from acceptance of the life that she is currently trying to build, back to that, like the question of, can anyone be a killer type thing? It's so important. And those were the things about this season that I appreciated. And that's why I'm saying it. Like I can say, oh, I didn't really care for this season, but there were certain, certain factors
Right.
that stood out, things that like what do you call them, storylines or character arcs that are extremely important. It's like this was the only reason why I watched the season this year, because you did these little developments that were truly monumental or momentous to real life. And I think that there are conversations that could be had. They're real conversations that we could have. And so for me, she did that. Her role, her character went through this very, very, very painful and very real situation. And it's something that should be recognized and should be talked about. It's an actual conversation. So I don't understand how Claire Foy and Alexis Bledel in the same category. I don't understand how The Crown takes this. This is one that I think The Handmaid's Tale should have taken.
Do you think, and not to cut you off, but like, do you think that, because I've always asked this question in terms of like someone doing like an amazing job in a film. A lot of times, and granted, this is a little bit different because it's the Emmys, but a lot of times someone will do an amazing job, but in the wrong genre, and in a genre that doesn't get much recognition. And because of that, it gets swept under the rug. You were saying, and in this case, it wouldn't be the genre, but maybe because if this season wasn't that grand, but she did an amazing job, it could skew how people see her completely or her acting completely because the season one wasn't as good as maybe this other show. Do you think that's something along those lines?
It could be. That's a great thing to bring up, because it could be. I personally feel like I'm one of the only people who feel this way about this season of Handmaid's Tale, because when you read the stuff online, people are like, "Oh my God, this was so good," and I'm like, "Yo, that was boring. Like, why are we still here?" You know, like I'm coming from a different. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm on the different side of the world here, but that's typically because I'm extremely critical of things, because I always have been. This is before, when I used to be a smart person before my brain injury, and I analyze things like that. But I don't know. I'm just sitting here thinking that like the 2 seconds that Claire Foy was on The Crown, the 2 seconds that she was on there, doesn't beat the like 5 episodes that Alexis Bledel is going through torment, in literally at this point where she has to find out if she's going to forgive the person who had the person she was in love with murdered. And by the time she wants to forgive them, it's too late because that person has decided to hang themselves. I just feel like there's just no question here. To me, there's no question here. And even I'm looking at the fact that Felicia Rashad is nominated as well for This Is Us, and she did phenomenal too. Again, and it's interesting. I don't know what characterizes guest actor. Sometimes I think what characterizes guest actor is actually their level of clout and expertise, instead of their tenure on the show. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you could have come in for 2 episodes. That makes you a special guest star. Felicia Rashad's like in every episode, so I don't, you know.
Right. I guess I think it's both, because they'll have someone come in for an episode who isn't like known, maybe not really an extra, but someone who's like, you're going to be in 2 or 3 scenes, and then, or 2 or 3 episodes, and then you're killed off, or whatever the case, you leave, but you're not really that big of a deal. But then you'll have like a guest appear maybe as themselves, or playing a role or whatever, and they're a big name, and it's only 1 episode, but they're like, oh, guest acted in blah blah blah. So I think it's a combination. It's like, if you're not going to be ongoing, but you're big enough to be considered a guest versus an extra, then we put you in that category.
I mean, sometimes I think they just put people in categories just to put them in there, because they're like, yeah, you'll do well here. I I don't
As
know.
one way to get a win. Like, hey,
It
look.
is. It is. I think it is a way to get a win. And but again, I am as much I'm saying this because I really feel this way. I enjoy Claire Foy so much as Queen Elizabeth, and I think that she does an amazing job. I'm just very surprised at I should be even be giving flowers to McKenna Grace's character, because the character she plays in Handmaid's Tale is very, very, very sad as a child bride, and she plays it well. You know, I
Right.
think she plays it as well as a child can play the role, and exhibits childlike behavior as a wife. You know, and it's I just think I am questioning. I'm questioning. I'm questioning. I'm just questioning. I need to know how these decisions are made, because I don't understand them. Moving on.
But yeah, a lot of people that we kind of root for it. They did win, uh, did win awards.
Hmm.
Um, uh, the show that we were watching, I May Destroy You,
Yes.
written by, and I can't pronounce her name,
Michaela Cole.
Michaela Cole. I always say something else before
Why?
someone says it.
Just
You know what
kidding.
happens? Have you ever like have been reading something for however long and you've been saying it
Yes.
one way, and
Yes.
then someone says it the right way and you're like, oh,
Yeah. And then you're like, what? I did that
right,
with Troy Polamalu. I was calling him Troy Polamalu
right. See,
for a
and
year,
so
for a
and, s-
while.
and so certain people's names I kind of wait till someone else says it. I'm like, oh, that's how you say it. That's how you okay. So I don't want to like mess it up, because it becomes a habit. Like you in your head, you're saying it wrong for however long.
Yeah.
But yeah, she won for writing a limited
Writing.
series.
Hmm.
That's right, which is great. Shout out
Hmm.
to her. Dope show.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle won for guest actor on Saturday Night Live. I got to shout out the Mandalorian and
Hmm.
WandaVision. The Mandalorian won a bunch for special visual effects, stunt coordination, stunt performance, music composition, sound mixing, prosthetic makeup. It's Star Wars, and if you have practical effects, you're gonna sweep. And they really did.
Yeah.
WandaVision was original music and lyrics for Athika all along, which is great. They also have the costume design, production design for a narrative program. They won a bunch of awards as well. All of that was done off air. So if you didn't see it, that's essentially it. Debbie Allen won the Governor's Award, and it honestly, Debbie Allen could just win everything at this point. It doesn't
She
really,
should.
you know what I mean? Like it's just yeah, just go ahead and win. Like
She's
you
so
know what I mean?
good
Like
in Grey's Anatomy. I love her.
yeah, you just want her to win. Whatever she does,
Yeah.
it's Debbie Allen. You know what I'm saying? We also had last week tonight with John Oliver, the
I'm
HBO. I like
so happy he won.
that was solid. That was
Yeah.
solid. Lovecraft Country also won outstanding sound editing for a comedy or drama series. Look, episode 9, I think it's episode 9, with the children coming out of the book, the creepy
Oh my
children and
God, the creepy
chasing.
children.
That score, that entire episode is the best episode on the show for horror fans. But that
Yeah.
score, the way they continually alter the score as the tension rises over the course of
Yeah.
the episode is bananas. Like
Yeah.
they should have won, and they should have won some other stuff too for that. But I'm just saying, bananas. That's my favorite episode of. It's one of my favorite episodes of any show this year,
And yeah,
or
ever.
in that in between that last year this year Emmy time, if you will. But yeah, like HBO got a lot of stuff. The Black Lady Sketch Show won outstanding picture editing for variety programming, and
Hmm.
honestly, it's called the Black Lady Sketch Show, so I wanted it to win. I just wanted it to win. But it is a good show. They had a little bit of
Yeah.
a controversy in terms of jokes being used. I want to say a little bit while back from different comedians, and I think they got worked out. I want to say that great minds think alike, and I think that's what
Hmm.
happened because
Yeah.
everyone seems to be have the writers and whatnot. Everybody seems to be on a good terms right now. So I'm glad they're getting a win. We also have HBO with the Bee Gees for documentary, outstanding sound editing for a nonfiction reality program. Like HBO was racking up. They didn't get more than Netflix, just I think literally out of sheer content. Like Netflix just had so much going on this year.
They really did.
A movie every week. They literally had a new movie every week. I don't know how that's even possible.
I don't either.
I agree that that this is the first, because it's odd. Remember we talked about I think a few episodes ago where Netflix finally got into the black in terms of money, because they're always paying and paying
Yeah,
and paying for this stuff, hoping that subscriptions are going to eventually allow them to recoup. And they actually had the most subscribers. Like they blew up in this pandemic term. And
yeah,
so to hear that they produce so much content, and not even just like film, like we have ton of anime and
yeah. I'm
shows.
happy.
Yeah, like it's just so, like this is the perfect time to be on Netflix. Like if
Yeah,
you're able, those people who are like there's nothing, there's never anything on, you're just not looking, because they literally have something for everyone everywhere. Like
yeah,
it's
they do.
bananas.
You know what they don't have is they don't have I May Destroy You, because they try to mess with our girl, Michaela Cole, and weren't trying to give her no money and weren't trying to give her the rights to her show. And she went to HBO. So sorry, Netflix, you lost out.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mix up. And what by mix up I mean your mistake. uh
Seriously.
because she had already written a popular show for you. Like
Yeah.
she just wanted a bit, and it was, I think, what was weird here was that I think she was like, I would just take like 1%. Like I think when I
It
was
was supposed
reading,
to be 5, I think, and then they kept
like
lowering
5%.
it. And then they were giving
Yeah.
it to half of they were like, "Oh yeah, you can have half a percent of the rights to your work that she wrote
Yeah.
herself."
And mind you, I get it. And I get it in the sense of, at the very least, we are doing, we're going to be pumping money into production. We're going to be pumping money into actually filming. We're going to be pumping money into having it on the platform and marketing and all this other stuff. But the amount of money you could potentially get, and granted, it's not apples to oranges in the sense of, or it's apples to oranges in the sense of how much money you get right away, because again, this is based on a subscription model. The money comes in on the back end, right? But
Mhm.
the fact that she has been proven and tested, like you could bump that up a little bit. And I don't know what the previous contract was, if she gave the whole show to Netflix, but the fact that she did you a solid, it's like, come on. And then HBO was like, you know what? If you just come over here, you can have, and they gave her as much as she wanted for the most
Yeah.
part. At least what I
Because she went to
remember.
BBC first, and BBC was like, "Yeah, we'll do this," and it was like, "Hey, HBO, get in on this."
Right. And HBO was like, shh, 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 shh.
Yeah. What do
Yeah,
you
like,
want?
well,
Okay, here.
right. And
There
it worked out. She's winning awards for your program, and HBO. And this is something that we apply to HBO for before.
Mhm.
HBO is getting a lot of content that's either developed, written, or produced by Black people
Yep.
or
They
people
know
of
what they're
color in
doing.
general.
Yep, by people of color, and it's just like and they respect that. They respect that, and they're like, "Yeah, go do your thing. Go you do your thing. We're not gonna tell you what to do. You do your thing. You do what you know. Do your thing. Bring it here, and let's produce this thing, and let's bring some visibility."
Yeah.
And I'm just still I'm flabbergasted because I still can't believe that Netflix tried to play her. And then here you go, her winning awards and stuff. And it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. And she's like, yeah, nah. And to be fair, like if you watch the series, which we hope everybody did because we've talked about the series a couple times, even in the series where she feels a little in a I think a good way to say this is this. The show deals with rape, physically actually been raped, and then also kind of like raped by your employer in a way. I think there is a what do you call it? Microcosm or whatnot. Like you have the bigger picture and then you kind of have the smaller picture.
Yeah.
And, even like she felt a certain type of way having to to do this thing for her employer, like to write this book in this certain type of pressure and kind of feeling like she was tied to them and things like that. I mean, like, even though she was kind of acting out and not being appropriate, so like
Right.
they're paying you do the work, but there's this feeling of of this discomfort and not even providing your best to these people. And I feel like I feel like there's a correlation there. That's why I think the story is so well written, because everything correlated. And the show, the writing clearly was amazing, because that's what she won the freaking Emmy for writing. The show was so good. The show was so well acted. I'm talking about, they put money in. They found the best actors. No one was out of place. Every actor did their job. They did their job. And I mean, it came through across the screen in every episode. You were never like, okay, they just hired this person. No, there was never anything like that.
That's why
Nothing.
it was, it was hard to finish. Like we didn't, because it was some of the stuff that they were showing was, they made it seem real, or at least real enough that, I had to stop.
I had to stop too. I got sick.
I'm gonna come back. Right. Like
I got sick. I had like a mini panic attack.
Yeah. And that's to not, it's not in a sense of glorifying anything, but it's in, they're showing something that happened that was real and doing a really good job of acting, you know? So I could totally understand. And it also made it upsetting that she just wanted a little bit, just like a little bit of something to hold on to in terms of it being her, because it's a personal story. It's not something that, it's not necessarily autobiographical or anything like that, but it's kind of, a lot of stuff that she's sharing is from her life, like things that has happened, that did happen to her. And so you can understand that it's personal. And granted, again, I don't know contracts. I don't know how these things work. I don't know the risk that, because when we see these things, we see it from the little person up. And as someone who has, paid people to do things and some of them not come through, I can understand being hesitant to pay someone else. I can understand being hesitant to give a license, like, because you could have this show and granted, she didn't ask for full license, but you can have this show on Netflix, do really well, and then take it somewhere else and it be syndicated and get a bigger deal. And it's like, but we put the money and stuff into this. You know what I'm saying? I think at the same time, though, I think Netflix should have been able to come to some sort of agreement to where she felt taken care of and they were able to keep themselves, protected enough. You have enough content that you don't really need to do that. HBO did something like that recently with, or not recently, earlier in the year with Dave Chappelle, when Dave Chappelle was saying, like, I don't want them to show the Chappelle Show until Comedy Central works out a way to actually pay me, because no one asked me, no one, basically contacted me about the Chappelle Show being on Netflix or HBO. And then HBO was like, we'll take it down. We'll take it down until you guys get it right. And people were thinking, like, in terms of like bullying or this artist or content creator like threw a fit. And it's like, no, like, I'm thinking HBO's thinking about the current relationship and possibly future relationships. Same thing with Netflix. It's like, hey, he has a point and he's a creator that's still winning awards. Why would we want to alienate him for some old content that we don't actually need? It's not like HBO Max is hurting for content. It's really not.
They're not.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, take the content down until they get their talks together, and once they do, we can put it back up with whatever new deal. And we're in a good space with this particular creator who might, if he wants to do Chappelle Show 2.0 or something like that, it might be housed on HBO because we did him this solid. It's like, it's just good business sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but anywho, off of the Emmys, the award show and whatnot, because we don't, again, skipping a lot of this stuff. I don't watch a lot of this stuff. I don't have time to watch a lot of stuff, but we did want to make mention about some of the winners and some of the shows that we did watch, because we have covered a lot of it here.
Yeah.
Another thing we wanted to talk about was the What If episodes. Now, Tess hasn't seen the latest one, so we're not going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about the one previous, and that is the one with Killmonger saving Tony Stark. And I kind of saw how this was coming
Mm-hmm.
before we even got to the point of the quote unquote twist, if you will. I just
Uh-huh.
knew this was happening. My only thing was I thought that Killmonger was just gonna kill like everybody. Like I just thought, and that's not even a spoiler because Killmonger
Mm-hmm.
kills people. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
he
his
does,
name.
right? But I just thought he was gonna kill everybody from the jump because you don't trust the guy, even though he has valid reasons for being angry. There's a lot of stuff that we just doesn't work in his world in terms of how we should approach these problems.
Yeah.
But some of the things that did happen were kind of shocking in how I guess the chips fell and who
Yeah.
was on whose side and when people started fighting and stuff like that. And one of the things I was curious about was how a lot of the same things happen in the movies that happen in What If, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
liked the Doctor Strange episode and the zombies episode and even though it was rushed because they're even if you don't like it, they're taking a chance on a story. I feel like if you have the opportunity to make these characters whatever you want, why make them the same characters just in different, it's like they're cosplaying or something. Like give
Yeah.
us a different story. And so that being said, I enjoyed this one too. I enjoyed the the word fails me, but I enjoyed what he was doing. I enjoyed what he was doing. I enjoyed how he kind of worked his way, into certain circles and was able to kind of get his revenge in a way.
Yeah.
I felt bad, with some of the people that he took down along the way, but it was very interesting. One of the things I also liked was T'Challa's mother jumping into the fray and fighting
Yes.
robots. I didn't expect that.
I was so happy. I was like, girl, get it.
Right,
Show them what you're made of.
right, and I don't expect Angela Bassett to do that anytime soon in the films,
That's what
but
you think. That's what you think. You don't
shoot,
know her. You don't know Angie.
wait,
Have
like
you
I go
seen her
way back.
arms? Have you seen her arm? We go way back. We go way, 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 way back. Okay. I'm talking about this woman could probably bench press all of us. Okay. Her and her little 5'2" self, or however small she is, because she is small. She is small. But that woman lifts. She lifts.
That's what's
Okay.
up. That's what's up. She squats it out. She squats it out.
Yes, she is no joke. I'm sorry, those arms are no joke. Don't. Courtney B. Vance knew what he was getting into. Okay.
I mean, I mean, but yeah, it was cool to see them. It was also cool to see a younger version of Shuri.
I
It was
know.
cool. Happy was back. It was cool to see Pepper, and yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. There were some things that you know what? The only thing I don't like about it is the way it ended. I felt like it was kind of abrupt, and
Yeah.
while we didn't necessarily need to see, anybody get their comeuppance or whatever, I still wanted to see it because it was like a heightened moment. It was like, oh, we found out such and such is doing people dirty. Like, how about you and me team up and take him down? So I'm thinking, Shuri's gonna have all these different gadgets. Pepper is
Yeah.
gonna, bring on Tony Stark's, full, gambit of suits, and we were gonna have, there was gonna have a showdown, and we didn't. It kind of just ended,
It ended.
and I
And I
felt the way.
agree with you. I agree with you. I felt a way too, because I was sitting here like, so wait, why did you guys even give us that? Why did you give
Right.
us this ending where it was like, yeah, we know what's up. We about to take care of it. And you didn't show us how it got taken care of, because what really should have happened is a similar thing that happened in the movie. You know how, they kind of like the Warriors went to bat for him, since he's, the new
Right.
Black Panther and everything. And I'm like, that's really what should have happened. Can you imagine Shuri having to take on everybody and doing it from the inside? Like, I think that
Yeah.
actually would have been really, really cool to see. It would have been really cool to see Pepper working and trying to make these suits. that Tony didn't actually make, because he only made them the Megabots. But like, let's just say that he actually still had the prototype, and she went and did what she did, because we all know that Pepper can use a suit. We've seen it in the movie.
Right.
So I think that they kind of left us hanging, and I need closure, because T'Challa did not die. Okay, for me to not get closure in this, because he killed T'Challa. Okay.
Well, see, I was trying not to spoil that part, but
Oh, sorry. Sorry, people. Don't listen to us if you haven't done what you're supposed to do. And I'm brain damaged. I can't read cues.
Yeah, I had all sorts of flags. I was like, no, you don't want to say that part.
Well, now y'all know. So,
right.
So agree with us. Agree with us and watch the episode and be like, oh no, they were right.
Right. But to be fair, it's like I said, it's a bunch of first episodes, the way they do it. So it's not like, you're in the middle of the season and we just spoiled a twist. It's they're all at firsts, but yeah, it's a good episode. It's good.
Just think this.
Oh yeah.
How many times are we gonna lose Iron Man? Because I'm actually getting a little upset. I'm just getting a little upset. Like, how many times? Is it gonna be every episode?
I mean, shoot, he's having a rough time. He's having a real rough. Really in every universe, he's having a rough time. Like, good grief.
I mean, first of all, that's why RDJ quit. That's why he quit. He didn't want to die 12 times.
Yeah,
he just quit because he didn't want to be part of this. He's like, I don't care. He unfollowed all the rest of the Avengers actors.
Well, that's probably what, because you think about it, it's like, we need you to come back. He's like, I'm dead though. I'm dead. It's like, no, you could die again. You could die again. It's okay.
Why would I want to die again? Is my name Sean Bean? Like, Sean Bean is the only person who dies this many times. Like, this is not cool.
Well, I don't know. Michael B. Jordan, he was dying a lot too in a lot of his films. Yeah. Like, it got to a point where he was being interviewed. He was saying that his mom was like, can you not die in one of these? His
mom, she's like, baby, I didn't raise you to get killed about 12 times now.
Like, you think, like, because he was in The Wire. He dies in The Wire. Like, spoilers. If you haven't seen The Wire, it's mad old, and it's on HBO Max. Like,
it is on HBO Max.
I'm sorry.
That's where I've been watching it.
But, his character dies on The Wire. He dies on Fruitville Station. He dies in Black Panther. He dies in, what is that? Well, he's a superhero. Like, he gets superpowers. It's
oh my God, I love that movie.
Chronicle. He dies in Chronicle. Like, he dies a lot. Like, he was struck by lightning. Like,
that was messed up.
It was, especially considering who did it, who killed him. Like, that was it was kind of messed up. But yeah, like, it was, I get it. It made sense for the story. I was hoping he wouldn't, or at the very least kind of do like a Jarvis thing where he's like, it's Tony Stark AI, but he's in Pepper's armor or something to that effect. Like, I thought that would be cool. I really, on the other hand though, I was like, how you gonna die and not have a backup plan? Because you know this dude came in and did all this stuff. He took out all these people, and you have one robot for him. Like, I would have loaded the deck just to make sure we're good. I would have like, just in case, let me send this information to whoever I need to send it to. That way, when he pulls up, if this fight doesn't go the way I want it to go, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to having Shuri kind of hack everything and then find out later, like, oh,
right.
Such and such is on, is doing whatever. But like, I was like, dang, Tony, you ain't got no backup plans, no nothing. And granted,
Tony,
he wasn't the same Tony. Right. He was still drinking. He wasn't, he was still making weapons.
He was still, having fun with the models.
Right.
Okay.
He was still egotistical and
Yeah.
still, he was still Tony, but the other Tony.
He was the
And,
other Tony. Not
things didn't work out for him.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rule. Hey guys, just don't be a dick and you won't get killed by somebody who's trying to steal your technology. Sherry was so cute. I just
She
can't get over how
was.
cute she was. It was just like, look at these Afro puffs. I mean, she was so cute. Like I was just smiling because like she's so cute. She was so little. She was so little. I was just like, oh my God, I love this so much. And that was making me talk like Letitia's like literally a grown ass woman. So she's probably sitting
Yeah.
there like, hey, she's cuter than me. Like she's so little and she's playing an adult.
She did a good job.
Oh,
They did
I
a good
mean,
job.
she did great. Yeah, yeah. It was enjoyable. I mean, I was honestly sad. I was because I wanted Killmonger to not be a killer. I just wanted him to not
Yeah.
be, want revenge. Um, but we can't have everything. So
Yeah. I was hoping, but I just knew it. I was like, he's gonna leverage this somehow. Uh, being that his origin was the same, and
yeah,
the fact that he just kind of showed up in the middle of nowhere. It's
yeah,
like, yeah, he run a game. He run a game. But I'm not
yeah.
mad at it. I'm not mad at it because his people was done dirty, and so he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder, and I get it.
Mhm.
I totally
Yeah,
get it.
totes.
Well, that is our show for tonight.
Mhm,
Hopefully, you
mhm,
enjoyed us rambling on about the Emmys, about the Wonder Years, and about What If. We will be hopefully talking about 2 episodes of What If. This episode with Thor that just aired on Wednesday, and
mhm.
then the next episode. I think, I think the next one will be T'Challa's, or I'm sorry, not T'Challa. I keep calling him Black Panther. I know he was playing the Black Panther, but you know,
Chadwick?
Chadwick will be in one more. I think he's in 4 episodes. So I think the next one is his last one. I'm not sure. Uh,
I don't want to hear that.
I'm I think so. I have to double check, but it's cool that he got to play so many, or kind of be himself in multiple roles in
Mhm.
this show. Because a couple people just kind of, they were there and they're gone. So it's kind of cool, but we will be talking about those and potentially some other shows and other things that are happening via Netflix. There's a bunch of shows that we kind of missed that we're going to catch up on. Whether it's the Witcher anime, I got to check that out.
I watched
Or
that.
the finally Netflix has the last episodes of the Seven Deadly Sins, and I'm finally going to watch those. Netflix has this thing that they do, and I know other apps do it, where they like split seasons, but not split them the way they're split via everybody else. So for whatever reason, the last season, Netflix just chopped off the last, I think, 7 episodes and then brought them on later. And it
Yeah.
could be, at first I was thinking like, maybe they wanted them dubbed, but you can actually watch them subbed. So I'm like, why? Or maybe they wanted both options. I don't know. But I know like there was other apps that had all the episodes already.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, unfortunately, I wasn't subscribed or whatever the case may be. I was like, you know what? I'll just wait. So a few months later, they finally put it on Netflix. But I was like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Also, Attack on Titan is coming back. I want to say in January. They're gonna finally show the final episodes of the last season, and we will finally be done with this series.
Definitely.
I am eager to find out, what happens, because I haven't read the manga and I'm not going to,
Nope.
because
Don't.
I heard it ends in a trash way. So I'm hoping that the anime is I'm hoping that the anime is better. So I'm actually gonna watch that, and then I'm also checking out. I'm still watching Boruto, which has gotten really good because we've
Mhm.
gotten past. I want to say majority of the filler, at least up until this point, and it's very good, like very very good. And still watching One Piece because I'm going to watch One Piece apparently forever, and
Yeah, you are.
that's just how it goes. But it's good though. Like it's one of those things where they just wrote themselves into being great. Like I don't know, you kind of get invested in shows, and it's like I'm gonna finish it because I watch so many. I just feel like I need to. No, it's actually gotten good. The past I don't know how many episodes, and so the fact that we're in episode, we're close to 1,000 now, and they're pulling so much content from even like the first season and bringing all these characters back for these big showdowns and whatnot. It's just really good popcorn, water cooler moment type stuff, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. So that's just some anime stuff that I haven't got a chance to talk to you guys about. Speaking of which, let us know if you want us to talk about any specific thing. We have the Twitter account, the Gamecast1, where you can kind of message us. Hopefully, you're not a new account because I put on not restrictions, but filters. If you have just like an egg picture, or you're like you signed up yesterday, we're not going to see you, and it's because there's a lot of trolls out there with just egg pictures. I'm sorry, it is what it is. But if you've
And we
been
don't
around
do
for yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that. So if you've been around for a little bit, you can definitely hit us up there and be like, hey, why don't you talk about the new Resident Evil film coming out, or talk about Nintendo had their direct show today and they showed a new Kirby game that looks dope, or the fact that right, I know, excited, or the fact that Microsoft, they got the cloud stuff working pretty well, so that way if you have Xbox Game Pass, the Ultimate Edition, you can actually play games through the cloud on a browser. You don't have to have the machines. You don't have to have a powerful computer even. You can actually just play it from from a browser and play the game as if it was downloaded on your computer. And it runs well. I played Gears of War 5 and Outriders on my computer. And granted, I have a pretty beefy computer, but I wasn't actually using my computer. I wasn't taxing my computer. I was actually just using the browser. As long as you have a good, yeah, as long as you have a good internet source and you have Xbox, the Game Pass, you're pretty solid. And there's hundreds of games on there that you could just pull. So, we can definitely talk about those things as well. I think it's brilliant, especially for people who can't necessarily afford to either, buy these new systems, or just can't freaking find them because they're sold out everywhere because of the, chip shortages, because of COVID and all that stuff. Like, I think it's solid. Like, Microsoft is doing some amazing stuff. So yeah, there's plenty of things that we can talk about. And if you want to hear those things, let us know. In the meantime, if you're listening to us on United Front Gaming, the YouTube page, feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're up on all the new content. And if you're listening on Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple or whatever the case may be, feel free to follow there or add us to your RSS feed so we pop up. And so you'll be up on all the new episodes. You can also go to Audio Boom and just type in the Gamecast, and then it actually has all the links for everything there. So for whatever DSP that you like, you can go listen to us. Beyond that, I think that's it for housekeeping.
That's it. That's it for me. I don't really have much to add. Thanks you guys once again for listening to us. Remember to wear your masks. Remember to wash your hands. Remember to get vaccinated if you can. And I did hear that there is going to be some mandates with vaccines, so y'all better start acting kosher out here in these streets. But yeah, that's really it. Just hashtag don't be a dick and just be a nice person. And thank you to all of our first responders and healthcare workers. You guys are great. We love you. Keep doing the things. And that's it. So we hope to see you guys next week. Bye-bye.